Hello everyone, welcome to Brilliant You Life Coaching. My name is Hank, the Life Coach, and welcome back to another Brilliant You Life Coaching Lab episode. We're going to be continuing on the How to Be Positive series. This is chapter 2, Life Upgrade. So, in the previous video, we talked just kind of basically about the basics of what positive mental attitude is and how important it is to have it in your life and to have it actively being used. And I hope you did your homework. I'll put a little card thingy up here for you to watch it so you can do the homework. Now it's time to briefly talk about the 17 success principles that will help you stay on track and help you keep a positive mental attitude in whatever you're doing in your life. The first one is obviously a positive mental attitude. The second one is definiteness of purpose. The third one is going the extra mile. The fourth one is accurate thinking. The fifth one is self-discipline. The sixth one is the mastermind. The seventh is applied faith. The eighth is a pleasing personality. Number 9 is personal initiative. Number 10 is enthusiasm. 11 is controlled attention. Number 12 is teamwork. Number 13 is learning from defeat. Number 14 is creative vision. Number 15 is budgeting time and money. Number 16 is maintaining sound physical and mental health. And number 17 is using cosmic habit force, aka universal law. As the chapters go on, we will be going over each and every single one of these success principles and basically each of the chapters. This is going to be a very, very long series, but that is what the Life Coaching Lab's all about, making sure I get down deep into the core of what it is that I'm trying to talk about when it comes to a subject and making sure that you guys understand and learn as we go along. And I'm learning as well. That's all what life's about, learning, growing, and becoming a better version of yourself. So as you use these 17 principles, you will begin to understand every success and failure and be able to determine the next best possible action for you to take is. If you have positive mental attitude and you may not be succeeding and you may be failing, it might be the possibility that you're not using each one of the success principles in the right way. It's almost like a puzzle. You have to take a few here and there of the success principles and apply them to whatever it is that you're doing. Sometimes it's gonna work, sometimes it's not. If it works, great. Definitely maybe notate it so that way in the future, if you're doing something similar, you already know what to do. If it doesn't work, that's fine as well. Did you just go back to the learning board and write down what you did and then maybe add some more steps to it? Also, as I continue this series, I'm going to use examples from characters from both anime, video games, and real life as examples of these specific success principles and them using and applying positive mental attitude in their lives or in the stories, which definitely gives them a very large advantage in their worlds. I also want you to try to identify which of the 17 success principles are being used in each of the examples. As you continue to try to identify which success principles are being used, you'll begin to start training your mind to spot them, and then you'll be able to do it in your everyday life, not just for other people, but also for yourself, which is going to be pretty amazing. I know as I've read this book, because this is based on How to Have a Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill, and I can say as I live through my life, I have definitely started spotting certain attributes of things and situations where I can be like, oh, that's creative vision. Oh, that's budgeting time and money. These are the things that you'll start to notice and you'll start to pick out. It's gonna be great. Continuing on, have you ever been given a crap deal in your life? Or have you ever felt like you've been given a crappy hand? Or have you ever felt like you're a complete failure? Well, you're not alone. This is something that is very common, and I 100% believe that everyone has felt this way at least one time in their life or continuously feels that way in their life. I felt the same way. In all my years, currently 27, I have definitely felt this way many times, especially when I was younger, growing up in junior high, high school. Junior high is the worst. You learn a lot. I mean, I've grown a lot from those experiences. If you've ever thought you were a failure and would never amount to anything in your life because of your upbringing or because you grew up poor or because you thought you were unattractive or you were dumb or stupid, I was definitely all those things growing up and maybe many, many more. I would mentally attack myself probably more or as much as any one of you have ever done inside your minds. You know, I used to put myself down, used to tell myself that I would amount to nothing in life, that I was a waste of space and I was never going to amount to anything. That's not true. Eventually, I decided that I didn't want to think like that. I didn't want to live my life in such a crappy mood, in such a crappy headspace, and I decided to begin to develop a positive mental attitude. Because I chose to have a positive mental attitude instead of having a negative mental attitude, I began to develop skills and I began to develop my own personal love for myself, and it began to manifest around me. My world literally changed. You are what you believe you are. So you can't blame everything around you. You cannot blame the world. You cannot blame your upbringing. But when it comes down to it, it is at the present that you are living, and you have the choice to decide whether or not you want to have a positive attitude or if you want to have a negative mental attitude. I want you to know that it's okay that you've had a negative mental attitude up to this point. It's okay. But now at this point that I've been talking about it for 2 YouTube episodes about it at this point, you don't have an excuse anymore. Now you have to understand that it is up to you to decide whether or not you want to continue having a negative mental attitude, which is completely up to you, or if you're gonna start having a positive mental attitude and begin upgrading your life. And now that you know it's okay to have a negative mental attitude, one of the first things I want you to do right now is to forgive yourself. That's something that I had to learn at a very early stage in my walk through life, is that times things happen. Not only do you have to forgive the situation and let it go, you also have to forgive yourself for allowing it to happen. Especially when you're trying to learn to love yourself, that's something you're gonna have to learn to understand. For my first example in this video, we're gonna be talking about a video game, specifically a JRPG called Persona 5. You play as Akira Kurusu, a high school student that ends up with the power to go into people's minds and steal their hearts. Well, kind of. I would say it's more like their souls, but I mean, that's a whole other different subject. He gets to these hearts by going through what's called a palace, which is a manifestation of a person's true feelings of the world around them. So you see, what we learn very quickly is that palaces are not pretty places at all. We're gonna be doing one of the first palaces as an example, which is a depraved high school gym teacher. It's always a high school gym teacher who is literally imagining that he is the king of the high school and he gets to do whatever he wants with the students. Specifically, a lot of them is the female class, who are definitely underage, so that is disgusting. These palaces are usually very, very depraved versions of the real world. That's because the individuals that are having their heart stolen are mentally depraved as well. You see, your mind is your palace, and that palace is the world in which you live in. So remember this, a healthy mind equals a healthy palace, and a healthy palace equals a healthy world. And it's up to you to decide how it is and what it is made out of. Here's a thought. You are currently and have always been a supreme being. Since even before you were born, in all of the history of the world, there's never ever been anyone else exactly like you. It's the reason why I made Brilliant New Life Coaching and why the name is Brilliant New Life Coaching, because you truly are brilliant. It's not just a saying, it's something that's reality. In all the infinity of time to come, there will never be another you. Imagine this, in order for you to exist, a cell had to go through incredibly dangerous conditions. These conditions were cells fighting with you to go to the same destination, to reach the same goal, other cells trying to just outright stop you and kill you from getting to those goals, and then at that point, melding together with another cell at goal, and then ultimately growing into a human after several months, which is something that's dangerous because people are sometimes a little careless. That in itself is a miracle. That's why it's called the miracle of birth, and you already did it. So everything else are just challenges for you to complete and ultimately succeed in. You've already done the impossible. If you think about it like that, you can't ever be beaten. Nothing can stop you. You're literally supreme. The next character that I'm going to use as an example is a character that is semi-hated because he's very loud and obnoxious, but I think he is a great example of somebody that uses positive mental attitude, PMA, on a regular basis. And that character is Asta from the anime Black Clover. Now, the reason why he's such a good example is because he continuously uses PMA to succeed in life. No matter what comes his way, he always ends up succeeding in some way, shape, or form. One of his most important, I think, sayings or slogans is the fact that never giving up is his magic, which in itself is definitely magic. In the world where Asta lives and where the story of Black Clover takes place, it is a world where magic exists and everybody can use it, except for him. He's the only person that cannot use magic. He is born completely without any magic in his body. So he does the only thing that he knows that he can do, and that is to turn his body into his magic. Asta exercises his body and builds muscle, hoping that it will awaken his hidden, latent ability for magic. But it never does. Like ever, at all. And after years of working himself to the bone, exercising for hours upon hours a day, using body weight training, using weightlifting training, he ends up basically becoming superhuman with superhuman strength, but still no magic. Even though magic never awakens inside of him, even after years of working himself to the bone and exercising and becoming an amazing individual in general, he never gives up his goal, his dream of acquiring magic and ultimately becoming the Magic Emperor. That is his main goal. That is his definiteness of purpose, become the Magic Emperor, which in that world is basically the king of magic. As he's continuing to work, he never once doubts that he's gonna find his magic. He never once doubts that he's going to acquire it after working his butt off, basically. He never gives up the idea and the dream and the goal that he has in his mind. Now, at this point, I'm gonna try my best to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but since most people aren't gonna really watch the anime because they can't really get past the second or third episode, because Asta is very loud and obnoxious, sometimes you have to be loud and obnoxious to your subconscious in order to change it, to redirect it to what it is that you want it to do and the way that you want it to think and react to certain situations. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, eventually a situation happens where Asta has to save his best friend / adopted orphan brother, Yuno. With all of his strength, all of his courage, all of his muscles, he still fails. But his determination does not go on deaf ears. What ends up happening is a grimoire, which is how people ultimately use their ultimate magic abilities in this world, in this universe, finally appears to him. Most times they appear to them at certain stages in their life where they have a special ceremony where everyone gets their grimoires once they turn a certain age. Unfortunately, even at that stage, he still didn't get a grimoire. But in this situation, it appears out of nowhere for him and gives him a very special power. Still not magic. Instead, it is a giant sword which destroys and cancels out his opponent's magic and ultimately saves Yuno. It turns out that Asta's power is anti-magic, and only he can wield this special type of magic because he doesn't have any magic, and it doesn't drain his power. The other reason why he's able to wield this giant weapon that's very, very heavy, it is huge, it is insanely huge and very, very heavy. But thanks to all the years of training and preparation that he spent to grow his muscles to wield this weapon, unconsciously that he did, he was able to instantly wield his special anti-magic weapon and was able to defeat his foe in a mere seconds, and quite a few of the other enemies as the series continues on. Everything he did up to that point, even though it seemed like it was in vain, everybody told him he was an idiot, he was dumb, he's going to be useless and a failure all his life. That never stopped Asta from doing what he wanted to do, which is to become the Magic Emperor. He had a definiteness of purpose, and he focused his whole entire being on that. Even if he couldn't develop any type of magic abilities, any type of magic spells, he knew the one thing that he could do was work on his body and prepare. Even if he didn't know, which he definitely did not know because he's kind of dumb, which is okay, he unconsciously knew he had to prepare himself. If you have some sort of dream or goal in your mind, and you are working towards it and you feel like this is what I need to do, I feel like this is what I'm called to do, listen, that is your higher self, your higher being telling you that this is what you need to do to prepare yourself for what it is that you're called to do. It makes you think, what is blocking you from what you want in your life? Maybe those blockages are there so something better can come into your life, just like Asta. As I mentioned with Asta, his definiteness of purpose was to become the Magic Emperor, which is a great time for me to discuss the second success principle, which is definiteness of purpose. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement by setting a main goal, which will also help you decide what mini goals you will need to take in order to get to your main goal. It's all about steps. You see, just like I mentioned with Asta, he made sure to take the steps. Even though he didn't know how he was going to get to his ultimate goal, he felt that he knew what steps he needed to take. And he worked himself to the bone every day for his grand goal and his main desire. Your world will change whether or not you choose to change it. Life is always moving forward. It's always evolving. So you have to always evolve with it. And the benefit of life and you being a human being is you have the power to choose the direction in which it goes. And having a definiteness of purpose will help keep you on track of what goals you want. It has been estimated that 98 out of 100 people who are dissatisfied with their world do not have a clear picture in their mind of the world they would like for them to have. Let me ask you this right now. Can you state right now what it is that you want out of life? Fixing your goals may not be easy. Hitting your goals may not be easy, and it may involve some painful self-examination because sometimes you might not be able to get those goals exactly the way that you were planning to hit them. But it'll be worth whatever effort it costs. Because as soon as you name your goal, you can expect to enjoy many advantages. And these advantages come almost automatically. The first great advantage is that your subconscious mind begins to work under a universal law. What the mind of man can't conceive and believe, the mind of man can achieve with positive mental attitude. Because you visualize your intended destination, your subconscious mind is affected by this self-suggestion. It goes to work to help you get there. Because you know what you want, there is tendency for you to try and get on the right track and head in the right direction. You get into action. If you place a goal in front of you, the rest of your life will follow with that goal. For a good example, one of my goals is to be a motivational speaker and life coach. I'm already technically a motivational speaker and life coach. But even more so than that, a higher goal of mine is to help people succeed. I want people to find the power within themselves. And I know as I continue doing these videos, as I continue encouraging people, eventually I will begin to see more and more people succeed. And that's all I could ever want in life. Even your work now becomes fun. You are motivated to pay the price. You budget your time and money, you study, think, and plan. The more you think about your goals, the more enthusiastic you become. And with enthusiasm, your desire turns into a burning desire. And finally, you become alerted to opportunities that will help you achieve your objectives as they present themselves in your everyday experiences. Because you know what you want, you are more likely to recognize these opportunities when they come and hit you in the face. Now, these 4 advantages are illustrated by an experience of a man who was later to become the great and amazing Han Solo.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Harrison Ford always wanted to become an actor and even had a few parts in other smaller films before Star Wars, and Indiana Jones made him famous. However, after coming to California and getting very few acting roles in movies, he began to self-teach himself woodworking and carpentry skills, which he used to pay his bills. As he was working on a director's home, he was redoing his door as a carpenter does. He actually was approached by another director, and that director's name was George Lucas. He happened to see him working and doing a really good job on the director's door, and he was like, "Hey, how would you like to work on the set of Star Wars as a carpenter?" Not exactly what he wanted necessarily as an actor, but honestly, a lot of people didn't really want to be in Star Wars to begin with. They thought it was going to be a flop. So he offered him the job, and now Harrison Ford could have decided right then and there that he didn't want to take the job because he wanted the acting role instead. But no, Harrison took the opportunity. As he was working on the set, George actually asked him, "Hey, could you read these lines real quick?" And I think he was just doing a stand-in. He did it so well that he got the part on the spot. Everyone has talent or talents that can help solve their problems. And as they continue to use positive mental attitude, those special talents will reveal themselves to you as you continue on.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Are you yourself ever tempted to blame the world for your failures? If so, pause and reconsider. Does that problem lie in the world or with yourself? I encourage you to learn the 17 success principles, memorize them. Memorize self-motivators like your mind is your palace to remind you that you're in control. You have the ability to solve any problems. It's within yourself. This isn't something that I just came up with. This is from a book. This is something I apply every day in my life. This is how I'm able to do the things that I'm able to do. And these are things that other people are able to do. Now, for this chapter's homework, I have 10 questions for you. The first one is, you can upgrade your life to achieve anything worthwhile. And in life, it is necessary to set high goals for yourself and want to achieve them. Have you thought about what your high goals are and what you would like to achieve? Even if it's just one goal, write it down. Remember the 17 success principles? Try your best to memorize them by identifying them in your everyday life. Try to identify the 17 success principles if you're watching TV. Number 3. Do you tend to blame the world for giving you a crap deal? If you do, try your best to remember, my mind is my palace. Is your palace in your right place? Number 4, you were born supreme. You have inherited all the potential and abilities and powers that you will ever need to achieve your goals and your dreams and your objectives. Are you willing to pay the price to develop your abilities and use the powers within you? 5, identify yourself with a successful image or individual's image, just like Asta did with the Magic Emperor. Who or what will you select? Number 6, which kind of goes with number 5. Have an image or picture of someone or something that inspires you and reminds you of your goal, and have it on your phone lock screen or somewhere you can easily see it. Whenever you need it, you can just pull up your phone and there it is, and you can look at it. What image or picture will that be? Number 7, ask yourself an important question. What will your picture say to you? And what do I mean by that is, for example, if I want to be bigger, what is the Rock cooking or whatever? I forget what he says. Oh, can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
What the Rock is cooking!
Like that's something that you can do. And what is the Rock cooking? What am I cooking? Success. Number 8, definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Have you selected some definite, specific, desirable goal? And will you keep it in your mind daily? Number 9, everyone has many talents for taking care of problems and situations. What special talents do you think you have that you can develop further to help assist you with your goals? And number 10, here's a formula that has helped a lot of people to change their world. What the mind of man can conceive and believe, the mind of man can achieve with a positive mental attitude. Memorize this formula or something similar, just like my mind is my palace. That's it. Those are the 10 questions. That's your homework, and I'll be sure to leave them in the description below so that way you can copy and paste them and then use them for your life and whatnot. That is chapter 2 of How to Be Positive, Upgrade Your Life. Thank you all so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Please let me know down in the comments, what your answers are, if you would like to, or maybe there's like a couple or 2 or 3 of them, or what you thought about what I had to say. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell icon so you don't miss any more future uploads. And if you want more content, be sure to check out the Linktree link in the description below as well, which will have links to all the places that Brilliant You Life Coaching posts to. We have an Instagram, we have a Pinterest, we do have a TikTok, and that is very much so active. In fact, at least once a month, there'll be a compilation episode of all the TikToks up to a certain month or so. But if you don't want to wait for the compilations, you should just go straight to the TikTok and check them out. Anyway, as always, with definiteness of purpose, you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it and have a positive mental attitude as you continue on. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, never forget, you're truly brilliant. Have a wonderful day. Peace.